port side, right behind this building with all these wooden barrels on top. See all those wooden barrels? I'll explain them shortly. See the building with the big antenna on top? It's probably one of the single most easily recognized buildings in the entire world. The Empire State Building. All 102 floors, 1,250 feet. Well, it just had a birthday last month, the 1st of May. Only in the year 1931, when it opened, it became the tallest building in the world. And held that title for over 42 years. 42 plus years, better than Mike Tyson holding the title, don't you think? Here's a little hint for you on your trip here, ladies and gentlemen. So you might want to jot this down. If you can visually see the Empire State Building, if you can see the Empire State Building, line aside, add, subtract, or simply count above Houston Street, you'll never get lost. And please remember, in New York, it's Houston. Texas, the same word is pronounced Houston. 1931, an interesting year. Off our stern, on the upper deck, you see a bridge. One of the 20 bridges that connect Manhattan with the outlying area. That very same year, 1931. In the fall, 24th of October, 1931, it opens. It becomes the longest suspension bridge in the entire world, the George Washington Bridge. It is the busiest bridge in the United States and held the title of the longest suspension bridge in the world for almost 7 years, till the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, California took its place. 10.5 million vehicles lost it last year. The Hudson River is going underneath it. This is the body of land, the body of water we're on, the Hudson River, named after the very first European to sail up in Henry Hudson. Henry Hudson arrives in 1609, September. He's English, hired working for the Dutch. The Dutch East India Company, looking for a shortcut to India and China. And he thinks he finds it right here. This part of the Hudson River is all salt water due to its proximity to the Atlantic Ocean. Speaking of the river, take a look over our port side, you see a yacht. See that yacht? Once again, if you're sitting right next to each other, a normal tone of voice will do. Honest, it will. This yacht off our left port side is the second largest privately held yacht in the entire world, the Maltese Falcon. Purchase price $165 million in 2006. A couple of years ago, a young lady in her mid-30s bought it for $120 million. Now, the reason I'm showing it to you is in between the Empire State Building and the Maltese Falcon is a pier, looks like a big bird cage. It's not a bird cage at all. What are they doing? Anybody? Thank you, hidden golf balls. It's a golf driving range on 4 levels. Golf is a game invented by the Scottish. Now, I don't know if you know it or not, golf, a 4-letter word. Golf simply means gentlemen only and don't kill the messenger, ladies forbidden. That's what golf means. Don't blame me, blame the Scottish. But Pier 59 is kind of a monument to something that did not happen. A little over 99 years ago, 15 April 1912, that pier, Pier 59, waited for a ship that never showed up. Its name? The Titanic. So the Titanic was supposed to show up. We know it never got here. We know why, don't we? Only in hindsight. It hit an iceberg and sank. Along with it, sadly, 1,513 passengers and crew. This you know. But what you don't know is right off our left port side. See that pier with all those little white tents on it? They're temporary. But take a look at where it connects up with the shoreline. There's an archway of what looks like rusty steel. It's not steel at all, that's iron. That is Pier 54. Why is that iron facade still up? Because 3 days after the Titanic was a no-show, the morning of the 18th of April 1912, a little bit after dawn, the sun just came up. Another ship tied up to that pier. Its name? Carpathia. On board, 711 survivors of the Titanic. That is where the survivors of the Titanic got their feet on solid ground. Latin term, terra firma. And were they lucky? 711 made it. One of them 9 weeks old. 1,513 did. And if you're the kind of person that pays attention to things going on around them, but then again, you can lead a horse to water, but a pencil must be lead. Some of you might remember a little over 2 years ago, that 9-week-old child just passed away at 97 years of age. Her name was Melvina Dean. Nice little old lady in England. In other words, the last survivor of the Titanic, in essence, just joined the rest of the passengers and crew. This Hudson River, Henry Hudson, 1609. English, working for the Dutch, looking for that Northwest Passage. Well, he didn't find the Northwest Passage. He got about 100 miles up this river. Took him about a week. He finds fresh water. Realizes it's just a river, no shortcut to anywhere. Near this Hudson River, the most integral waterway in this country's War of Independence of England, the American Revolution, is an imaginary boundary between 2 of the original 13 colonies, 13 states. You might notice on the American flag there are red and white stripes, 13 of them. They represent the original 13 colonies, 13 states. We're sitting right in between 2 of them. On the left port side, the city of New York and the state of New York, nicknamed the Empire State. And the Empire State Building got its nickname First coined by George Washington after the Revolution, when he waved bye-bye to the English, he said, now we have an empire of our own. On our right starboard side, the city of Hoboken, New Jersey, hometown birthplace Francis Albert Sinatra. Old Blue Eyes. Now you see where it says Erie, Lackawanna? That's the Hoboken train station. Got a clock tower. Look to the right of it. See that pier over there with a green gazebo and some trees? It's a public park made out of 2 commercial piers when they tore down about 20 other ones. Gone are the days of the guys with the hooks and the nets, but anybody into motion pictures has seen what they did there. 1954, Living Black and White, the late Marlon Brando, and On the Waterfront. That's where it was filmed. Best picture of the year, 1954. What better spot than the birthplace of the motion picture industry? Menlo Park, New Jersey, in the early 1890s, Thomas Alva Edison invents the motion picture camera. Next time you go to the movies, go, thank you, Thomas Alva Edison. New Jersey's official nickname is the Garden State, sometimes referred to as the State of Confusion. And I say that with all due respect. New Jersey has a distinction of being the most densely populated state in the United States. There are more people and motor vehicles per square mile in New Jersey than any of the other 49, hence the State of Confusion. Part of the New York metro area. Now let's go back over here in Manhattan. You notice here on the west side of the Manhattan, the buildings are all rather short. You don't see a lot of skyscrapers. This is Greenwich Village. Notice I said Greenwich, not Greenwich, the way it's spelled. Greenwich Village simply means green village. Why Green Village? When the entire city was located below Canal Street over here, this is the country, this is where people come to get, you'll see piers look like big brick air conditioners on them, see that? How can you miss them? This is an air conditioning system. First of its kind. See? Either side of the river. This is the Holland Tunnel. Opened on the 13th of November, 1927. And when it did, it became the longest underground tunnel in the entire world, connecting Manhattan not only with New Jersey, but the rest of the continental United States. This is where the science of underground tunnel ventilation was pioneered. Yo, you can't sit down. It's where the science of underground tunnel ventilation was pioneered. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, be aware of people sitting behind you. Nobody came to see the back of your head, honest. I know your family loves you, but hey, give it a break. The Holland Tunnel. All they're dealing with is the internal combustion engine, the automobile. Flips the air every 90 seconds, although I drive for rolling the windows up. Now pay attention here, you're going to need this later. The entrance of the exit point over in Manhattan for the canal, for the Holland Tunnel is Canal Street. Ladies, have a seat. Thank you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please be aware of people sitting behind you. If you turn around and there's 6 people looking at you, they're looking at the back of your head. Thank you. The other side of Canal Street where the Holland Tunnel comes out, and when we get around the other side of the aisle, it's going to be something very big, something we're going to go under, something you won't need your imagination for. And by the way, get history straight the first time. That's how the Holland Tunnel got his name. Clifford M. Holland's the guy that designed it. And by the way, speaking of history, right about now, a lot of you on board this boat might have a feeling as though you've been here before, even though you know you never were. With a curved roof, a big greenhouse for trees at 8:46 a.m. plus 40 seconds. American Airlines Flight 11 crashes directly into Tower Number 1, or the North Tower of the former World Trade Center, starting a series of events, ladies and gentlemen, that would leave us with the apex of history in our time. And make no mistake, that's what it is. The buildings surrounding the area, the ones with the different geometric shapes on top of the mirrored light windows, is the World Financial Center. Home to American. Marina is the North Cove Marina. You notice a little building with some steam coming out of it. To the left of it, you see a big expanse of empty sky. That is where the South Tower, or Tower Number 2, stood. Ladies and gentlemen, Towers 1, Towers 2, North and South Towers of the World Trade Center combined, 220 floors of floor space, 220 acres, 2 buildings in a complex of 7 buildings, of which over 50,000 people worked in every day. Impact number 2, 2 seconds before 9:03, United 175. 625 miles an hour. Now those 2 events I just described to you culminated on the other side of the World Financial Center at 1028 Original Bank of Manhattan building, 40 Wall Street. These roofs are green because they're copper. Copper. Here's something you can do at home. Take a copper penny, throw it out in the backyard, come back 25 yards outside and resist erosion naturally. Yeah, but electricity is a little too expensive now. But if you will, as we round the turn, this is the downtown tip of the island called Michigan. This is the second one. It's been opened up since 2006. The building under construction with the cranes up on top will be the tallest man-made structure. The end of this year, number one World Trade Center will rise 1,776 feet. And if you have a moment and you can spare it, take a look over the tops of the trees, over the little white tent. You have an unobstructed view of the entire side of the World Trade Center. Ladies and gentlemen, only by its absence, you might get an idea how big the World Trade Center really was. Coming up on 10 years in a couple of weeks. And we're looking right over the birthplace of the city, where the city began. This is called the Battery and Battery Park. Now, when I say battery, I don't mean that like one of your camera. I mean a grouping of large pieces of artillery, a battery of guns. Here's where civilization came to the island and all the ferries. There's about 8 of them. They're all orange. They all have different names, and they run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is a Staten Island ferry terminal. I urge you to come down here to Nightmare. Jump on one. Go to Staten Island, jump off that one, get one coming back. Take about an hour and 20 minutes. Totally free. Totally free. Gratis. Compliment to the city of New York. Staten Island, also known as Richmond County after the Duke of Richmond, is the only one of the 5 boroughs not attached to the other 4 via the subway. So we use ferry boats, and they're free. Oh, our drop of hot behind us is an island governor's island. This is where the Dutch set up shop. 2 years after arrival, 1626, became the front office of the Dutch West India Company outpost New Amsterdam. And don't let anybody kid you, it wasn't 24, it was almost 1,000. On the right starboard side is the borough of Brooklyn, that is Red Hook, Brooklyn, Kings County. After King Charles II of England, older brother of the Duke of York and Albany, some New Yorkers, eh? Red Hook, Brooklyn is the birthplace of this country's most notorious criminal mind. His name was Alphonse Capone. That's where he got the scar on his cheek, a nickname Scarface. Scarface Al Capone. Was born over here. He was born in 1890. Broadway and Wall Street. Take a spin around the cemetery, you'll find some very familiar names along the downtown fence. Then start walking down Wall Street towards this river, the East River. Listen, within 1 minute you'll be standing in front of the New York Stock Exchange. Turn around, look up, find a big statue of George Washington on the steps of Federal Hall. Climb up, stand in front of him, have somebody take your picture. And then have a photo of you standing on the exact spot where in the stroke of noon on the 30th of April, 1789, George Washington sworn in first president of the United States, when there are only 13 states and New York City is its capital, the first capital, birth of a country. Then came Philadelphia, then came Washington, D.C. Well, ladies and gentlemen, take a walk on top of the Brooklyn Bridge. It's $125 cheaper than a helicopter ride. It's free. The pedestrian entrance is adjacent to City Hall. City Hall is adjacent to the Williamsburg. Beg your pardon, the corner here, Chinatown and Little Italy. You might want to try saying Little Italy 5 times fast. 6,149 cars in the system. There's one coming and one going. And the New York City subway system, Monday through Friday, carries about 7 million riders. That's on average every day. Every day. One of the most perfect souvenirs of the city, ladies and gentlemen, is a map of the New York City subway system. It costs to everybody on board this boat, pretty much. But it's going to help me explain that young lady out in the harbor. Pretty soon you'll be able to see her underneath those 2 bridges we just went under. By the end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century, or is the 1800s, make a big enough, pump enough water. What creates the water pressure? Gravity. Not a concept. A law. They're an empty building over 6 floors. So let's do inventory. Structural steel. Use structural steel as the infrastructure to a building. The sky's the limit. Why don't we call it a skyscraper? The street running right through the middle of this 14th Street. The old Klein-Deutschland, or Little Germany, off the leftward side below 14th Street, now known as the East Village. My generation gave it that nickname. Avenues A, B, C, Alphabet City, the East Village, right along the shoreline. 14th Street on the west side of the island of Manhattan is the uptown-most extreme of Greenwich Village. Island becomes a center for all things military in this young country in 13 states. Second oldest military installation in the USA, and you can visit it for free. The ferry station right next to the stand to this area totally by accident. The year was 1524, blown of course by a storm. His name Giovanni de Verrazzano. Giovanni de Verrazzano. An Italian, although he's commissioned and working for the French. That is the Verrazzano Narrows and the Verrazzano Narrows Bridge. Now, speaking of the French, what I'm about to introduce you to, ladies and gentlemen, is a gift. A gift from the people of France to the people of the United States. And I want you to take a breath, relax, we are right now is exactly how close the largest terrorist attack in United States history came to the most visible icon of the American way of life. A reminder, what gives us the ability to be here today without asking anyone's permission comes from the freedoms that she represents. And the thoughts the same here as you were taking a ride, let's say, on the London Underground, waiting for...
这里是中央公园，世界上最大的室内的公园，全世界。